Good morning and happy holiday Monday. Here in Canada, we have a holiday today. It is quite gray and gloomy out there. If you could see out my window, it would look like there is nobody else in the world but us right now. So I've got so much to talk about today, so let's get started. I've got my tea. My tea helps me stay calm for these videos. Color. I'm going to start with color. So this weekend I had a blog about color, and a few weeks ago I asked you about some color combinations and then realized that you didn't ever really get completion on that. So I had given you some color choices as this as a color choice, or this is a color choice, because I just couldn't decide what colors I wanted. This is kind of a rusty red. It isn't really the bright red that it looked in the pictures. And that's a nice, turquoise teal, and then we have the lime green. Now, most of you, even though I didn't give it to you as an option, decided that these two should go together. And I almost went with that one, but I needed something that would challenge me a little bit more. So I went with these two, which made me quite uncomfortable, but I thought I would try it anyways. And here's the results. So this is the Next Level Tea Towels. That's our June tea towel class. And I'm really happy with how they turned out. However, I think had I used a slightly lighter color turquoise, so we have the darker, we have the lighter. I think if I'd gone with the lighter, it would have had just a little bit more zing to it. So there, a little bit of color and how I choose colors. I'll put the blog in so you can see some other ways that I choose color. One that I didn't include in this blog, but I have in previous blogs, is this is a favorite book of mine. It's the Complete Color Harmony Pantone edition, and it has so many color combinations and shows them in proportions. It even, look at that, this is the reliable color palette, and we have the provocative color palette and the robust color palette. So it's quite interesting just to look through and see all the different color options. In the blog, I also mentioned yarn that I was afraid of, and this is the beautiful skein that I showed a picture of, and it is spectacular. I'm going to try and I hope this actually works. You can see those honeycomb bits in there that I know are going to be really hard in a reed, but I'd really like to use it. I'd love to be able to use it as a warp, but I'm not sure I'm going to be able to do that, but we'll see. It's been sitting in my closet for about a year, waiting for the perfect project, or for my bravery, whichever one you prefer. Now, you might have seen in some of my social media posts this week about the tangled fringe, and I wanted to address that a little bit. So normally, the right way is to twist your fringe before you do your wet finishing, but I often can't wait that long, and I want to know how my item is going to finish before I do the fringe, because it takes a long time to do fringe. So normally what I will do is I will take my fringe and I'll tie it in slip knots like so. And usually that prevents tangling of my fringe. However, that did not happen on this project. You can see that my fringe is quite tangled. So I thought I'd just quickly take you through how I would go about untangling it. And literally I'm going end by end and working it out of its bundle. So it's going to take time. It took me about 10 minutes to do the other side. So it's not hard. It's a good TV project, evening in front of the TV project. and just one end at a time, just working it loose from its bundle. And if one end doesn't want to come loose, then instead of really tugging on it, I'm just going to move on to the next end, and eventually it will come untangled. Maybe. The other side did, this one will too. There we go. Once I get it untangled, then I actually take, oh, I didn't bring it over with me. I actually take an ordinary hairbrush and I will just brush it out nice and smooth, trim it, and then it's ready for fringe twisting. And there you can see, after I untangled it, the fringe turned out really well. So I still need to trim the ends, but it came all untangled and worked really well. Now you've been seeing this pink scarf that I've been working on for a while, and I think I promised you last Monday that it would probably be out Saturday. It wasn't, because as I was writing the pattern, I suddenly realized I hadn't taken adequate records. And this, when I was writing the pattern, I was writing it for 2 pickup sticks, and as I was writing it, I'm like, there's a problem here, and I realized, oh yeah, I actually used 3 pickup sticks for this. And so I had to rewarp it and do it over again because I hadn't kept good enough records. So I thought I would talk about record keeping today too. So I keep my records in a book, college ruled lined book, and I just write everything in my book. Clearly I didn't write everything for this one. If we go to that pattern, it actually has very little written. That's all I have for that pattern. And I had picture records of everything, so I keep pictures of all my projects on my phone, and I try to do every step of every project. But if I don't have the notes to go with the pictures, then it doesn't necessarily work quite the way I would like. So I just wanted to talk about record keeping for a second. So I do things like I have my boxes, there's the project, there's the important information, here's things to take note of that I need to include in the pattern. I've got, my blocks, my pickup patterns, I've got notes that I take, I've got all the math over here of the warping. All this little bit in here is other little notes and important bits and things that I might have changed as I went along, or might change in the next iteration, because sometimes I weave a project multiple times before I actually get a pattern ready. Sometimes in my books I'll tape the yarn in that I used as well. So this is 2 different yarns that I've got in here and the information there. I like to use colors, I like to use my stencils, I don't like record keeping, so it's a good way for me to just get some enjoyment out of it by making it look pretty and beautiful as I'm doing it. I'd love to hear about how you guys keep records. I'd love to hear what your favorite notebook is, if you have an app that you use for your record keeping. Love to hear it. I'd also love to hear how you choose colors, what your favorite ways are of choosing colors. So leave those in the comments. I will link my newsletter in the comments so that you can see the blog. And you can also go to my website and sign up for my newsletter so you can get it each week and know what's going on. So I hope there was some informative stuff here. I hope that you enjoyed coming into my working space and just hearing me chatter for a little bit. And I know I really appreciate the emails and the comments I get from you. So happy Monday. If you have a holiday today, enjoy.